You're listening to the Long Game Podcast. I'm your host, Sandra Scaiano. There is a concept out there in the course and membership industry that gets talked about and taught by coaches. It's a legitimate strategy, but like all strategies, there is a time and a place to use it, and you've got to do your homework to know if it's the right strategy for you. What strategy am I talking about? Pre-selling. It's not a new concept, and we're actually pre-sold to, many times in our daily lives. And when we are, we really think nothing of it. For the most part, pre-selling alleviates the burden of inventory and the expenses laid out by companies that are serving us. It helps companies navigate those uncertainties. All good, right? My husband is a toy collector. So much of his industry is run on pre-selling. He will literally buy something and it shows up on our doorstep 2 years later. And now I'm talking about, collector goods here and everything, but that is some pre-selling mojo, right? And, another industry, electric cars, that's a big industry where pre-sales and waiting lists are the norm. So many are signed up and paid awaiting their Teslas. But how does it work in our online business world of courses and memberships? Is it something that can give you a boost or something that can be a bummer? Well, it can be both. So today I am breaking down the pre-sale concept and sharing my thoughts. You're listening to the Long Game Podcast with Sandra Scaiano. In a world where everyone is doing, it's easy to get lost in a sea of comparison, secret tricks, and promises of overnight success. The long game is my approach to business. The actual day in and day out philosophy that you have to show up, you have to do the work, and there's no quick fixes for long-term success. I'm a web designer, digital strategist, and energetic thinker, and I'm here to share the process and lessons I experience with my clients daily who are going through the same struggles of building a business as you are. We'll hear from successful entrepreneurs sharing their long game strategies, and I'm fun, so we're going to have a little fun along the way too. Thanks for being here. Let's get to today's episode. Can we talk pre-sale today? I'm bringing it out for you guys. Can we talk? That's my Joan Rivers, my inner Joan Rivers, right? Okay, with so many courses and membership launches that are taking place every day, the concept of the pre-sale is forever floating about. So pre-sale tactics are very industry dependent. Physical products, that can be a slam dunk because you literally won't have 100 pieces lying around unsold if you do pre-sales. But in the digital marketplace, once you sell 1 or 5 or 10 slots in your pre-sale campaign, you need to deliver. So let's go back to what the pre-sale is. Pre-selling is when you begin to sell your course or membership before you have fully created it. It's a way of validating your idea with sales prior to making the investment of time and money and energy. And you'll hear coaches and other notables in online business tout the benefits of the pre-sale. Mainly that you aren't expending all of the energy on building out a course until you are being paid for it by making pre-sales or until you fully know that your market wants this type of product. And, in pre-selling, it's not that you aren't doing anything and just selling your course. You are still having your course mapped out. The modules, the timing and the exercises that you'll be doing. It's just that the actual creation of the content is the part that comes after some sales start coming in. So, how much you leave to be created can vary, but it's generally the full copy or teaching of the content that's left to later, and the recording and editing of the content, as well as the build out of the course platform. So with today's checkout tools, it is rather easy to set up a buy button and get people paying for your course or membership before it's even open. And it's actually one of the reasons that I really like using Kajabi, because you can create an offer, have all of your details and automation set up from the start, and begin to sell. And then when you're ready, you can connect your product to your offer and deliver it to those who have purchased. But how much do you leave to be done in a pre-sale strategy? This is where things get sticky. Pre-selling is a smart strategy for the right entrepreneur, but it's not for everyone, especially those at the start of their course creator journey. And that's where I find issue with it. It's not just there are some things to watch out for with pre-selling, that there are things that can really set you up for a rocky road, or that the benefits of creating the program and selling in real time are just so much stronger. It's that pre-selling is not for everyone. Both sides for and against pre-selling, they have equal footing, but some entrepreneurs are better equipped to manage the tasks and stresses of pre-sales. But beginning business owners or beginning course creators should not be doing pre-sales. And I'm going to share with you why. As a business owner, you've got to discern for yourself if it's for you. You've got to figure out who you're going to listen to and why. All right, here's the deal. There is no doubt that it's smart to predetermine if you should create a course. Is this something that your market wants and needs? I totally get that. And there are a number of ways to determine this. And, pre-selling really favors those course creators who have an existing audience as well as a reputation. When you first are starting out, shifting from one-to-one work or expanding your work from one-to-one to one-to-many, you are still in the process of building your audience. New people, they don't know you. You don't have the track record of trust built yet. So having an audience who trusts you is a huge asset when pre-selling. There's an established relationship that you are leaning on, a reputation that you have built with your audience. So, the pre-sell of a course idea makes sense when you are established and have an audience that will be a good barometer for you. And that's where you, as the business owner, you need to think, is this coach talking about my situation, or are they talking about a more established entrepreneur, or even the coach's own more established experience? Being a digital entrepreneur is about finding out what works for you, what feels good for you. So you've got to listen to the advice out there through the lens of your own experience, through the lens of the level that you are at, and through the lens of your own trajectory. So, I really want to highlight that your business is about how it feels for you. And, you'll see why as I further break down my thoughts on the pre-sale. Okay, pre-sale. When people are at the beginning, or are beginning with their first course, even if they're an expert in their field and they are just translating what they do and their expertise to the digital medium, going through the entire process of course creation for the first time, they need that process. That is really an impactful process of course creation. And there are so many benefits that you get from the process. So one of the main benefits is creating the course really lets you figure out the content that you want to create. Actually creating the content holds you much more accountable than any outline will, and there's, a difference for an experienced course creator. They know the ropes. So an outline, that may be enough. But when you're first writing out your ideas, into sentences that highlight the power that you bring, you start to realize there's a lot of time that goes into this. How do you want to say things so your message gets across? Are you sounding too bookish and need to make it more conversational? And I see this all the time. When you start recording and you are basically reading your script rather than speaking, normally, boom, the realization sets in that you're going to need some time to come into your own here. All right. Also, going through the process, not only learning the ropes and giving your attention to all the components of the course build out, the process hones everything else you do because you know the content so well. You know your message. And, you may say, well, but I'm an expert. I know my message. And that's true. But when it comes to your course and selling it, you've got to not only know the material, but all the nuances that material creates, right? What are the obstacles that students will face, at certain times going through your course? How do you help them navigate through these as the expert? What do students need to know to be able to absorb the level that your content's at, right? What are their pains and how is your product the solution? This all comes from your product, your material. And going through the process of course creation makes you better in touch with all the other marketing pieces, right? It makes all your marketing better and it allows for your voice to come through clear and for you as the course creator to focus on the task at hand. We entrepreneurs, we are coming to courses and memberships with lots of plate spinning. Some of the clients I work with, they have, thriving coaching or service businesses, and then they've decided to add this new vertical of courses or memberships. Others are newer entrepreneurs who are still navigating the experience of being an entrepreneur altogether, and they're creating a course or a membership. And with both of these groups, having the course complete and then going out into the world allows them to fully focus on their sales and their marketing and their audience building. And I see it with every client I work with. These are all huge tasks in and of themselves. And this, my friends, brings us to the biggest sticking point of the pre-sale concept. Once you sell even one, and sometimes only one course offer, then you are under a timeline to produce. So, creating a course under the stress and pressure of having to produce, it's not a great place to be. And, if you're a course creator who also services clients or coaches clients, there's no way to halt those existing projects and completely focus your attention to building a course that you pre-sold. No one gets into this for it to suck. So set yourself up for success. Allow yourself the time to create your content, to discover your voice with your content and your marketing. It all goes back to the type of person you are and the type of experience that you want to create in your business. You might thrive under stress and a deadline. So if that's the case, then maybe pre-selling is for you. But you've really got to understand the process and how you are executing items to be able to plan your timeline correctly. Are you doing everything yourself? Do you know all of the steps that needs to be done? If you're getting help, are those people under the guise, working under the guise of your timeline? I've seen people promise delivery only to be held up by their video editor who didn't make their project a priority. So, for courses that are dripped, it is true that you only have to be 1 week ahead. But let me tell you, with that approach, it will be the longest 6 weeks, 8 weeks, or however long your course is of your life. So, if you only have a few students or members to begin with, or, amazingly, if you have 100 students or members to begin with, you are juggling with content creation as well as delivering the best experience. Remember, you create the experience in your course or membership, not only for your students and members, but you create the experience for you as the business owner. How do you want to feel in your work? Stressed? Worried? Harried? Do you think that you deliver the best experience for your members when you've got these emotions running rampant inside of you? Listen, I can only speak for myself, but not me. I like to produce content and then get it out there freely, knowing that I can service my people. And, there are always nerves, of course, but those butterflies in the stomach are very different than not being prepared or not showing up as your best. Pre-selling is absolutely an option for a more experienced course creator. One who knows the road a bit, knows their tech stack, knows their timing, how long things take them to do. And creators who mostly have these systems in place to support their course processes already. There is so much more to course creation than just the content. There's your product. What's the setup of this in addition to the content itself? There's the entry process. How are you welcoming students and members into your world? There's automations. How are you building processes inside your course and leaning on your tech to help you maintain them? And there's communication, which is the keep in touch part. How are you connecting with students and members to engage with the content, engage with your community, all of that. So, I just outlined my peak framework here in a few sentences. This is the foundation, for your business. You're building a foundation for your business, and it should absolutely be a part of your course or membership creation. The stress of working the pre-sale is really intense, because you are promising things in advance. Once you get into the process and you realize you want to make a change or something, you are caught up in honoring your offer. And, with building your course out and then selling it, you eliminate the possibility that you will not be ready, for student number 1 or student number 100. And, for me, it's just not worth it, right? It's not worth all of that stress. Another layer to the pre-sale is the mechanism that you create to determine whether your idea has legs or not. So let's take a webinar, for instance. With the pre-sale route, some people decide to create a webinar or a Facebook Live and promote it as a way to gauge interest and even kick off sales. Again, it's the same scenario. People with established audiences can get humans to show up with minimal to medium promotional efforts. And since they have this connection established in their business, the work is less. They spend time creating the content of the pre-sale, which, directly relates to their course. They know how to use the various software for going live or webinars, and they just slide right in and show up. For less established digital business owners, every piece of the pre-sale promotion adds a layer of questions. And for some, overwhelm. How am I going to facilitate this? What do I need to create? How do I promote it? Etc. And all of this energy, it could be placed into going through the full process of course creation, getting you to actually launch sooner and with more confidence. When you haven't built an audience yet to have authority with, it doesn't matter what idea you have if no one shows up to validate it. And the reality is, you are still selling in a pre-sale strategy. You are still putting your heart and soul into it. So, in this case, you're just creating a backlog for yourself. So look through your own lens to determine what strategy is right for you. I've learned over my years and am reaffirmed all the time that many business owners, they are looking, they are seeking for the answer for them. How do I do this is the question that they ask. Just tell me what to do. That's what I hear all the time. And, if business owners listen to what's being said without the reality check of where they are at or fully understanding the benefits of doing the process on their overall business, as well as fully understanding the stress that comes with the pre-sale path, they're in for a really hard time. And, experienced coaches, they need to talk about who is a good candidate to run a pre-sale because they are not for everybody. And, maybe it's just me. I don't like unnecessarily stressful situations. I've had a lot of that in real life throughout my career. I remember I couldn't even watch the show Amazing Race when it first debuted because I was running in airports for real. So, that show was not fun for me. And I've learned over time that my best work comes from calm Sandra, right? Engaged Sandra. And when I can get there, I get into a state of flow. I work with business owners every day who have 50 things going on, and having to focus on launching, marketing, and creating the course on a tight schedule is really a nightmare scenario. And I truly believe that if you take the time to create your course, you are working freer where ideas flow, and you're still working in a time frame. You're not letting this course creation piece get away from you, but you are coming to your product without an anxiousness, right? That energy that you are putting into your course is positive, and you are expanding the experience of your course for both your members and yourself. The best thing you can do for your business is always choose a path that sets you up for success. And we determine this uniquely for ourselves. It's all a matter of your goals, your resources, and how you want to feel. And really, it's all just one big process, right? That you start working your way through and you refine along the way. So just remember to look through your own lens to find the strategies that can work for you. All right. If this episode struck a chord with you, please hop onto iTunes and leave me a review. I'm approaching my 100th episode soon, and I'd love to have a fresh batch of reviews sharing what I do here. If what I do here makes an impression on you, gives you ideas or inspires you, please hop onto iTunes and leave me a review. All right, everyone. I'll see you next week. Thanks for joining me today. You can access more info in the show notes at thelonggamepodcast.net. If today's show connected with you in some way, please share it with your friends or hop on iTunes and leave me a review. Until next time, keep playing the long game. This podcast is part of the Sound Advice FM network. Sound Advice FM, women's voices amplified.